There is an interesting story about how Nepal got its name. There was, according to legend, a Hindu sage named Ne, who lived in the Kathmandu Valley thousands of years ago in the prehistoric era. Pal means protection. As the area was under the protection by sage Ne, it became known as Nepal. The kings of different dynasties have ruled the region since then. Nepal used to be the only constitutionally declared Hindu nation on the planet till 2008, when it was declared a federal democratic republic and a secular state. The country's rugged terrain is made up of peaks and valleys. The world's 10 tallest mountains, including Mount Everest, the highest point on the planet, are all a part of Nepal. Over 240 peaks tower at over 20,000 feet above sea level, and the plains are fertile and humid, making them suitable for agriculture. The first people of this land were the Nevars, who spoke the unique Nepali bhasha. They developed a sophisticated urban civilization not seen elsewhere in the Himalayan foothills. Their contribution to art, sculpture, architecture, literature, music, agriculture, and cuisine is evident in Nepal even today. However, mass migration into Nepal has resulted in the Nevars making up just 5% of the population in their own homeland, and their rich language and culture is rapidly becoming extinct. In Nepal today, 81% of the population is Hindu. But they follow a complex combination of Vajrayana Buddhism and Tantric Hinduism, also referred to as Buddha Marg and Shiv Marg. Over a period of time, elements of these two religions have been interwoven into the ancient Bon religion, making a third unique amalgamation called Tibetan Buddhism.
We're in Nepal. The significance of being here, what Nepal means. Large parts of India was like this at one time, that the whole geography of the place was created like a living body. They established, like how in the human body the energy centers are, like this they established these bodies. Many kings sponsored these great adventures of turning their whole kingdom into a spiritual body, so that man, woman, child, animal, bird, worm, nobody escapes the spiritual process. Spiritual process is not only for those who close their eyes, roll their eyeballs and sit. Nobody should escape this. This is the intention. You should say this is the highest level of compassion, that you don't even want the worms to go untouched by this energy. So, making the whole geography into a spiritual process. But largely, these structures or this phenomenal work that was done in the northern part of India was wiped out, because the northern part of the country saw invasions after invasions, and the first thing that they went for is this, because they know if they break this, people's minds will be broken, their spirit will be broken. In south, a little bit of it is still left, but not because of the external invader, because of the invasion of ignorance, which is more dangerous than any invader, kind of dissipated. Still, you can see remnants of the structure, but not a very active process. Some processes are still on, but mostly defunct. Nepal is one place where it is much more alive than what you would find in India, simply because the whole culture supported it. Even now, for 98% of the population in Nepal, going to the temple and seeking their mukti is still the highest thing in their mind, which is largely lost in India, yes? So, when the very psychology of a civilization was completely geared towards ultimate liberation, these things could be done, but the very geography could be converted into a living spiritual body. So being in Kathmandu, which is the abode of Pashupathinath temple, in certain traditions is considered the temple on the planet. This temple is of thousands of years antiquity. The linga that the temple houses is pre-Vedic in its making. Pre-Vedic means Vedic period is something like 5 to 8,000 years ago. In that range, those 3,000 years are called the Vedic period. This is pre-Vedic. The temple itself has come down many times and been rebuilt any number of times, but the linga is pre-Vedic in its antiquity. So Pashupathinath is seen as the forehead of Shiva, and his body flows, one body to the south, another body to the west, one head, two bodies. These two bodies represent two fundamental systems of Tantra. The southern body is the right hand and the western body is the left hand. When I say Tantra, I am not talking about the Tantra that you're hearing of today. Tantra does not mean unbridled promiscuity. Today, the word Tantra evokes all kinds of nasty things in people's minds because most of the information that you know about Tantra is rebound from the American shores. Even in India, if you go into any bookstore, most of the books on Tantra are written by American authors. That is not the kind of Tantra I'm talking about. Tantra means a technique or a knowledge or a certain technology of being able to unmake life and make life again. What is the purpose? So if you want to understand a machine, you dismantle. Look at every part, understand what it is and put it back. If you can again have the engine roaring, you know it. You dismantled it and if you can't put it back, you're half-baked knowledge. Yes, you know how to undo things but you don't know how to put it back. So Tantra is about undoing this machine. This is the most sophisticated machine. This is the greatest challenge. If you have a mechanical brain, this machine is the greatest challenge. If you can undo this and again do this, you are as good as the creator in many ways. A cardiac surgeon had a little problem with his car, so he took it to a local mechanic. He left it there, some engine trouble. And 3 days later, he went there to collect the car, the appointed date. But when he went there, the car was not ready. So he asked, please, I'm a cardiac surgeon. When somebody's heart is fluttering, then in a way it should not. They call me and I must rush, I need my car. Please. The mechanic said, come tomorrow. He went tomorrow, still it was in a dismantled state. He said, please, why are you doing this to me? You said yesterday it was not ready, today not ready, what is the problem? The mechanic looked at him with a little masho, wiping the grease off his hands and what is the big thing that you do? You also fix engines. Heart is like an engine. You also fix an engine. I also fix an engine. You fix an engine with 4 valves. I fix an engine with 16 valves. So why is it that you're paid 100 times more than me? The cardiac surgeon looked at him and said, "Try fixing the engine when it's on." So, if you can dismantle this piece of life, this machinery and put it back, that's the greatest thing. Those of you who come from India and maybe you have spent little time to look at the calendar art in India, you would have seen that sometimes there is a yogi or sometimes a woman who has taken off her head or his head, placed it in their hand and walking. Have you seen this picture? So this basic tantric imagery is to tell you that this is about the mechanics of life, understanding this machine so perfectly that you can completely dismantle it and put it back. So based on this, and when I use the word tantra, I want you to understand from this context, not from… In this context, they created 2 tantric bodies with 1 head. The forehead is here in Pashupathinath. The Sahasrar, the top of the head, is in Kalpanath. What is above is in the Muktinath. What is beyond is Kailash. If you flow down south, Kedar is the hump, Tunganath is the horns, Madhya Maheshwar is the navel. Like this, 5 chakras below Pashupathinath flows, 1 to the south, 1 to the west, 2 bodies with a single head. These 2 bodies were created so that different types of people can make use of it. One is a left path, it's an extreme path, no holds barred. South is a disciplined path. So, largely, Indian subcontinent took the yogic path because it's a path of discipline. This part, which is a small body compared to the southern body, took to the… what is today referred to as the tantric path, which is no holds barred, which involves external situations. Yoga does not involve external situations. Yoga is completely internalized process. You don't need anything or anybody to do this process, it is totally internalized. It is a much more sophisticated path because it does not need any material. It does not need any ritual, it does not need any kind of outside situations. Wherever you are, you close your eyes, you are a situation by yourself. You are a world by yourself. So, the yogic path flowed south. What is today referred to as tantric flowed west. West it went really far west. I don't think they envisioned that, but it went very far west. So, Pashupathinath means… Pashupati means… Pashu means life, Pati means the Lord of all life. A human being in the yogic system and of course in modern natural sciences and biology is seen as atop the animal kingdom. So you are the culmination of the evolutionary process. This does not mean that all the aspects of all that this evolutionary process has gone through is absent in you. Because the the human DNA shows only 1.23% variation from that of a chimpanzee, but that's made such a big difference. So, in the evolutionary scale, human being is the culmination of animal kingdom. And hence, in India, tradition talks about reincarnations of divine, starting from the fish, which is a life within the water, and then walking out, amphibious, which is Kurma Avatara, that is the turtle which walked out, then Varaha Avatara, the pig or the boar, and half man, half animal, then a pygmy-like man, a diminutive man, then a straight man, then various levels of men, various human forms of higher and higher intelligence and bigger possibilities. These 9 incarnations of the divine are just theory of evolution for you. So in this context, we are talking about human being being a Pashupatha, that means one who is atop the heap of life forms. So being on top or being the culmination of all these life forms means you have the inquisitiveness of a monkey, venomousness of a snake, lust of a boar, everything. You have all these things. All these things are playing in the human qualities, isn't it? Tell me one creature that you are not. All the creatures are playing through you. And hence all this spiritual process, this talk about making a human being conscious, because this whole effort, nature's effort of evolving you from a single-celled creature to such a complex mechanism will go waste if you don't become conscious, because they'll keep playing up. So Shiva rose above this. From being a Pashupatha, he became a Pashupati. He became the Lord. That means he mastered the animal nature completely within himself. He became free from animal nature and sat here as a yogi, untouched by all the dimensions which existed within him. He became beyond that. So this Pashupathinath temple is significant because this is the space of transcendence. From here, he moved to Kalpanath. Kalpa means creation. Even if you were born after full gestation period, still one part of the body was unformed. Do you know which one? Top of the head. This was still unformed because that is the entry point for the life process into the physical mass of flesh that your parents offered for the life. You don't create life, you only create a receptacle for life. You create a bowl, you create a chalice, but life has to enter. So, that point was unformed because that is the entry point and there are various aspects to that, we will not go into it now. So this is the kalpa, this is where life began. Life entered the physical body, so that is the kalpanath. And beyond that is the muktinath. In the human body, there are 114 chakras, 112 are in the physical realm, the 2 are above. So the 113th one is referred to as the muktinath because that is the point of liberation, and 114th one is called as Kailash, that is the abode of Shiva himself.